Hey everybody, thanks so much for joining us today for the JobNimbus 101 workshop on calendars and tasks. We really appreciate you being here. My name is Colby.
My name is Daniel.
And I'm Logan. It's nice to have y'all here today.
Today, we're going to be doing something a little bit different from what we usually do. Usually we have a slide deck with pictures and some walkthroughs about our different features. But today we wanted to open it up to you. We're going to be jumping in JobNimbus here pretty soon, and we want to answer your questions about calendars and tasks. Any questions you have in the JobNimbus web app. Also, we can pull up the mobile app if you want, and we're just going to open it up. We're hoping that by doing this, you'll all learn best practices for using your calendars and tasks in JobNimbus and how it can benefit you and your company. So if you have any questions, feel free to type them in chat, and Colby will be monitoring chat, but we'll also be opening it up to if anyone wants to talk to us, raise your hand. Colby will call on you, she'll unmute you. That way you can ask us your question yourself, and we'll talk it over and run through anything that you need. So we'll give it if you start thinking of your questions right now, and we'll get to it in a first come, first served basis. So if you want to ask a question, let's go ahead and pop over into JobNimbus and let's get some questions rolling. So are there any questions that we have?
Yes, it looks like we have one here. Let me get over here.
Thanks, Sarah. I forgot to mention Sarah will also be monitoring all the questions, so feel free to ask anything that you need.
Olivia Benson, you're unmuted, I believe, so you should be able to talk.
Hi, thanks. I was just wondering, what are the actual benefits for my company to use the calendar and tasks?
That is a really big question, but it's a good question, a good first question. So let me kind of tell you what I think. To me, the biggest deal about using the calendar and using tasks is increasing accountability and responsibility on your team. For instance, if I'm here and I make a task for someone, as opposed to just saying, hey, go do this, I've got a record of it. I assign it to a member of my team. Like in this case, I can say, Byron, this is yours. And then I assign it to a job or a contact so that it'll be kept under that person. They can dictate exactly what it's going to be. For instance, if we're meeting to discuss an estimate, I can give it a date and a time. And then when Byron's completed it, he can mark it off. And he'll know that it's done. It'll be time-stamped exactly when he completed the task. Another important thing about a task is that when it's created, it appears on the calendar, like we see. And it will send an email and a push notification to our teammate's phone. So Byron will know, oh, I've got something to do. And then the day of, he'll get another reminder. So something that I really like about it is the accessibility and the reliability that it can relate to your team. Make sure they're getting the information that they need and that you have confirmation on them completing it. So that's tasks. Daniel, do you want to talk a little bit about calendar?
Yes, hey, thanks, Logan. So the other side of the tasks is your calendar. As you see, your calendar is where all of your tasks are found. Let's actually, the thing I like about the calendar is visibility and the ability to manage. Your calendar is where you manage all of your appointments and tasks for your team. Using the calendar, you can see when a team member has an appointment on site to assess a project, or when they need to make a phone call in the office or whenever. Or you can even create team meetings. As you saw when Logan was creating a task, the weekly team meeting kept popping up when he was trying to name that task. You can set weekly team meetings and assign it to everybody so everybody knows. Let's actually pop over here to your dashboard and start from when you first open JobNimbus. When you first open JobNimbus, this is what you'll see, your dashboard, and your calendar is found over here in the left side of the page.
Daniel, I have another question coming in. Do we have time to answer that one?
Yeah. Is it relating the calendar?
We have another one on, can you create a task within a customer?
Sure. Let's pop over to that question, then we'll come back to how to manage your tasks.
Sure.
So when you create, so there are actually different places that you can create a task. As you saw that Logan was showing, you can create a task right here in your calendar. You can also create a task from most any page in JobNimbus up here in the ribbon with this Add Task button. Takes you to the same place. And let's jump over to Mark Newstrong, the person that we just gave a task to. Because you can also create a task right here in Mark's page. Logan, do you want to take over with explaining how to create that task there?
So you just head over to the Tasks tab on their page, and you can click the Add Task button right here to create the task inside the customer. The advantage to doing that is that the related contact or job, if you're under a job, will already be filled in. Whereas if we do it from the ribbon at the top or from the calendar, that page has to be filled in. You can also see all the tasks related to the contact right here. And you can choose, I only want to see the ones that are incomplete. That's the default. You can also set it to see what has been done or both. So you definitely can create a task under a contact or under a job. The advantage being that it has them already assigned to that contact or job. What is another question that we've got? I think there's a few.
There are a few. Bethany asks, in the app, is there a way to save photos from jobs that are in there? We have some subcontractors that use the app to see what their job will be for the day. Once a photo is uploaded, we can't save the picture on phones unless we screenshot it.
So are you meaning save a photo in the task itself?
Or in the mobile app or the web app? Because on the web app, it's pretty easy to come in. We can download all. Okay.
Mobile app.
Dan, do you want to pull up the mobile?
Yeah, give me a second here. Let me get that mobile app pulled up for you. So here we have our mobile app. And right here, you see all the different tasks that as soon as you open up the mobile app, your different tasks are right there. And you can add a new task by clicking on that plus sign in the top of the corner and top right corner of the screen. And this is where you can create your task. So are you asking if you can add a photo to the task itself on the mobile app?
No, I think they want to know if it's possible to save an image from the mobile app to your phone. And I think actually the answer on this is not currently. We will relate that to development because you are correct. There is not a way to save the picture from the app onto the phone.
Yeah. So
thank you, Bethany. Sorry we had to give a negative answer that time.
That was a good question. It's it's always good to learn about these and especially receive feedback on that we can send over to our developers.
It's a little bit awkward, but you can open the web app on your browser. So you can go to jobnimbus.com on your browser and download it to your phone from there. but we definitely should move that to mobile app. So thank you very much.
We do
All
have
right.
another question.
Let's do that.
Since we're discussing calendars, is there a way to create multiple calendars? Asking because we'd like a separate subcontractor calendar and salesman appointment calendars.
Yeah, let me jump back in and continue talking about the calendar. So yeah, let's jump back to where we were talking about the calendar, and let's go over all the calendar features here, and talk about your different calendars and whatnot. So here's your calendar right here, and as you already know, right here is where you can view your tasks. Right over here is where your calendars are. So each team member gets their own calendar, and everyone's calendar is color coded. As you see, Byron's tasks are in green, so you can easily see what tasks are assigned to Byron. All of your other team members can each choose their own color for their task, and you can do that in your team settings. When you go to edit a team member, they can choose which color they want for their color on the calendar. Your subcontractors also have their own calendars. So when you create a subcontractor and you assign a work order to them, or assign anything else to a subcontractor, you can see their tasks here on the calendar, and you can uncheck them or recheck them if to see their calendar, to see all of their tasks. Now you also have other options to view calendars. Here, down here, you can choose what kind of tasks you want to see. You can choose, I want to see all my contacts and jobs, or you can uncheck your work orders if you don't want to see your work orders on task on your calendar. As you saw, everything went away. Or you can bring them back. Those right there are your different calendars that you have in JobNimbus that you can use.
So in other words, you can't create like 3 different calendar pages, but you can customize the calendar to be exactly what you need it to be at the time. For instance, if you wanted to say, oh, I only want to see my sales guys' appointments, you can choose the specific kinds of work orders or tasks that are appearing on the calendar. So say I only wanted to see meetings, I could unclick this and then click it down to, I'm just looking at meetings now. You can actually create different kinds of tasks so that you can specify this more thoroughly by going into your settings and creating new task types. And you can see here's a list. Some of these are built in. I believe task, phone call, meeting, and appointment are built in. You can always add more, and then you can narrow down your calendar to just seeing those things, or just seeing things associated with one person, or things associated just with your subcontractors like Daniel was showing you.
I do have another question for you. Melissa
Okay.
asks, can you create a task that's recurring? Example, a team meeting every Wednesday at 10 a.m.
That is an excellent question. There, you can't. So you can't actually do it in JobNimbus, but you can do it by integrating with Google Calendar. So the way you integrate with Google Calendar is you come up here to, you click on your name, top right corner, select My Info, and then you come down here to the Google Calendar sync. From here, you click on Enable Google Calendar Sync, and it'll pull up a window for you to choose which email you want to sync with Google Calendar. And then it'll pull up a option for you to choose what kind of sync you want, whether that be one-way from JobNimbus to Google Calendar, or two-way sync from where you create a task in JobNimbus, and then it'll sync over to Google Calendar, and then you can make changes on it in Google Calendar, and it'll sync back to JobNimbus. So, Logan, do you want to explain how you can create a recurring task with that?
Yeah, so if you sync with your Google Calendar, you can create the recurring task on your Google Calendar. And if you set Google Calendar to sync to JobNimbus, or if you set a two-way sync, then that will sync into JobNimbus as a task that will recur whenever Google Calendar tells you to. It's possible to kind of jerry-rig a recurring task in JobNimbus, but it requires some automations and a little bit of ingenuity. If you're interested in that, shoot us an email to support@jobnimbus.com and we'll walk you through it. It's a little bit lengthy to go over right now.
Logan, Daniel asked, do we only integrate with Google?
So we mainly integrate with Google. We do also have the capability to integrate with iCalendar or Outlook Calendar, but it is just a one-way sync.
Yeah, the way that you do that is right under the Google Calendar sync is this calendar subscription. You can follow these instructions here to integrate with those, but it's mainly you copy this URL right here. This URL is unique to you and your calendar. So it won't work with any other team members' calendars. It is you and your calendar. And then you can go to add calendar in either Outlook or I believe iCal. You can add a subscription, and then you paste that link right there into your iCal or your Outlook calendars.
There's some limitations to what we're allowed with permissions to iCal and Outlook, which is why it's just a one-way sync, but it's still something we can do. All right, we ready for another question?
Yes, Daniel asked, what's a one-way sync?
So a one-way sync means it just goes, I believe, from JobNimbus to the Outlook or iCloud calendar, not the other way around.
Yeah, that is correct.
I sometimes forget which direction it goes. Yeah.
Yeah, you can create a task in JobNimbus and it'll sync over to that other calendar, but you cannot make changes on that task in your other calendar to have it sync back to JobNimbus. So only syncs from JobNimbus to your other calendar.
Great. We have another one. Can you build a group in calendars? For example, I want to check a box for my sales team and all of the calendars for my designated sales reps would be shown or removed. Or in subcontractors, I want the calendars associated with install only or fencing only.
Yeah, that is an excellent question. Let me pull up something real quick, because that I believe can be done with groups.
So now we're finding the limit of our knowledge.
Yeah, let's go to our settings, because you can create groups, and groups does a lot of really neat things in JobNimbus. You can create reports that are only accessible to groups, and you can create boards that are only accessible to groups. And so that one, I forget right now if it is available in the calendars.
We're going to find out together.
Yes.
And I do not believe so.
Yeah, I don't think so, but it was,
Yeah. So answer, unfortunately not. This would be a great thing to relate to our development team. I think they'd benefit from it. And at the end, we will give you an opportunity to learn a little bit more about that. All right, next question.
Okay, give me a second. I'll just unmute. Jerry has a question here. Go ahead, Jerry.
Yeah, I've been messing around with my calendar for a little bit here, and I'm only seeing my calendar stuff show in one color regardless of who is assigned to the job. I don't really understand what's going on there.
Yeah, that's definitely a thing that can happen. If you click on this color code by location, then everything will come up just in a single color, and that will be the location associated with it.
Yeah, that is actually really helpful if you have multiple locations and you want to see all the tasks for one location. And then if you want to easily have a good visibility over all of your tasks for one location versus a task for a different location.
Yep. So you can set up different locations and associate customers with them, and then their things will tie in just to that specific location or service that you offer. And that's probably what you're saying, Jerry.
Yeah, we see that actually happen a lot, and no, thanks for bringing that up.
I think we have answered all of our questions for the moment, but if anybody wants to ask more, we will ask them. So if there's any other features you guys would like to explain.
Yeah, I actually want to run you through, is there anything you want to run through, Logan?
Go for it, Daniel.
Okay, perfect, thanks. So I want to pull up the reports because it's actually, there's actually something really cool with the reports that you can view, that you can create a custom task report. So when you create a custom task report, it pulls up all of your tasks that you have, pulls up the title of the task. As you see, this estimate meeting that was just created is on here. You can see who it's assigned to. You can see the priority of the task, and you can see what contact or job the task is related to. So in here, you can really customize what you see and what you need to see. So we can add a filter. If we want to say, hey, I only want to see tasks that are of high priority, I can see that right here, and it'll pull up when that task needed to be done. We see right now that we have a meeting on the 31st that is really high priority. And we can see that, oh, hey, we might have missed a meeting or miss something on the 20th that was also high priority. So you can really customize what your report says here. We can group it by who it's assigned to, and we can really go through this. And then when you save the report, it'll show up under your custom reports, so you can always go back and view it. Another really cool thing I want to show you with the reports real quick is if you look in your team activity, something that not a lot of people might not know about is you can see how many tasks each of your team members are creating within a certain period of time. As we see, only Charles Schnell has been creating tasks this month. The others haven't really been creating tasks. So now we have more manageability, more visibility over what our team is doing. And we can, in our next team meeting, we can talk about the importance of creating tasks in JobNimbus so we can all manage what is going on. Is there anything?
Reporting is a great feature. Yeah. Reporting is a great feature that a lot of our customers and our users don't get maybe as much use out of as they can. So this is a good thing to look over. Thanks, Dan. Do you have any more questions that have come up?
Yes, Brent asked, can you talk about the money side, other features? I think we might, Brenda, we might need a little bit more details on what specifically you'd want to know about.
And it might be a feature that we'll need to go over in another webinar.
Yeah.
In the meantime, let me jump in and go over one of my favorite things in JobNimbus, which is using tasks as part of automations. So one of the things that we want to do, in addition to make it more visible to you what's going on, we want to eliminate some ongoing work that you always have to do. And that can be done through automations. And we can do something really cool, like build an automation so that when a contact gets to a certain point in our workflow, for instance, materials ordered, then we can have an action created that will build a task for ordering materials. We can choose how long after they move that it's due. Probably going to have that due right away. And then I can either say, you know what, this is something the sales rep needs to do, or Charles is my office guy, he needs to order the materials. So we can set it up, and then every time something moves to order material, boom, the task is made. When Charles completes it, he marks it off. Pretty awesome. Do we have any more questions that have come up? It looks like there's a few if I'm looking at the bottom of my screen.
Yeah, a couple. They are on other topics. The one was on the sales pipeline, and another one was on entering a new customer. Diane, we need to know like the details, like specifics of what you'd want to know.
While we're waiting for that, I'll show you something else cool you can do with the task automation. And that is sending a reminder email. So we can set an automation for a task that will happen, say, 8 hours before the start date. If the task type is, and this is where task types are really cool, is I can create these for my different task types and modify them. But if our task is an appointment, then we can send an email, and we can send it using a template that we create that will have their name, the start date, all that right in the email itself. And we can send that to the related contact. And the related contact to a task would be the customer that you related it to. Or we can also remind the sales rep as well, so that both of them have an email that says, hey, we're looking forward to meeting with you. It's going to happen here. That's a few ways that you can use tasks and task types to take some work off your plate and make sure everybody's being held accountable. Do we have any questions that we still want to talk about? Or are we good there? And if so, maybe Daniel, we just want to wrap it up.
I have one last question. We may
We'll
have
take
time
another
for this
question.
one.
Yeah, we have time.
Since I started using JobNimbus, I put in all customers in as a contact, and later I learned to put them in as jobs. What's the difference?
Yeah, we can easily, answer this in the time that we have. So a contact and a job, they are different in JobNimbus. When you're using jobs, your contacts become more of like your phone book. You have all of your contacts with the contact information, and then you can relate them to the project that you're working with. And we suggest that you use jobs if you have 30% or more of your projects that are property management, because a lot of those, you have one contact with multiple addresses that you work at, and it just makes it easier for you to have your contact information, and then underneath it have the different addresses or the different projects you're doing for that contact. So the contact becomes the primary related contact on the job, and it just makes it easy for. Let's jump into a job here. Let's go list view, not board view, and let's pull up Sergio. And you see that the a primary related contact is Nate Cahoon. You can, in this job, you can have all of your documents, your photos, you can add your financial documents. But if you need to get a hold of the primary contact for the job, you click on Nate and it'll pull up his information. And it makes it so much easier for you to separate your jobs from your contacts, and you can use your contacts as more of a phone book.
I like to think of contacts and jobs as like Russian nesting dolls. The contact is the big doll on top, and then you put the jobs in underneath. And like Dan was saying, this is something that you'll be doing if you're working with the same person over and over again, or at a lot of different addresses. Let me just add that if you are using jobs, then the contact should just be that phone book. And then everything underneath that, every picture, every estimate should be saved under the specific job and not under the contact. So if you're doing a lot of repeat work or a lot of work at different addresses, use jobs. If not, just stick to contacts. All right,
Okay.
well, hopefully we gave you guys a good overview of how to use the calendar and how to use your tasks. Once again, this is just a sort of overview of what you can most get out of this. We've got a few final notes for you guys, and then we will look for any last questions and we'll let you go. So the purpose of the calendar and task is to organize things and help you manage your team effectively. It gives you overall more visibility, it gives you more accountability, and anybody can add and use those tasks, making sure that all the work that's done is recorded. You can customize your calendar in a bunch of different ways using that panel on the left-hand side that we looked at to see just specific team members, or just specific tasks, or just specific subcontractors. You can also integrate with Google Calendar and iCalendar to help you manage things both in JobNimbus and on your personal device. Overall, we're really happy with the calendar, and there's probably going to be more features coming up for it soon, but in the meantime, we're super excited to offer this to you guys. So, I know we didn't get to every question, and there was a lot of unrelated questions. There is some information that we have for you that you can use going forward. On our YouTube channel, you can see our previous webinars. We've gone over things like contacts, and we've gone over automations in a lot more detail if you're interested in that. We also have a knowledge base at support.jobnimbus.com with articles about all the things we talked about today and much, much more. If it's something that's in JobNimbus, it's something that you can learn about here. We are going to continue running these webinars for the foreseeable future. And if you haven't gotten on with JobNimbus yet and you're just sort of interested, feel free to use this link or just go to jobnimbus.com. And you can sign up for a free trial. If you have questions and you are or are not yet part of JobNimbus, you can email our support team or give us a phone call, and we're happy to go over even more information. Colby, you want to walk us out?
Thank you so much for joining us today, everybody. Hope everyone has a great day.